Hi, this is John Martinka, and I'm here with my good friend Ted Leverette with Partner on Call Network. Ted is the pioneer of working to help business buyers buy the right business the right way. And Ted, I'm going to start out with a big question. Given the mess that we're in, what's the most important thing a small, mid-sized, lower middle market business owner can do right now to improve their situation and their future situation, whether it's going from, hey, it's tough out there to good or good to just excellent?
John, thanks for having me on. Increase cash flow. That is the most important thing everyone right now should be doing in business. And the nice thing about increasing cash flow is it creates a lubricant, and that's going to smooth the way for anything else the owners of these businesses want to do. And if they're thinking about selling, now would be a real good time to increase their cash flow and profit. And let's remind people that you and I did a booklet called 120 Financial Lifelines for Small Businesses. In there are dozens of techniques that don't require applications, asking permission. And when done right, you can increase net cash flow 25%. You can get that booklet at my website, partneroncall.com, or from yours, John.
Okay. Thank you. That's great advice because, as we know, cash is king all the time. Cash flow is king. You have an extensive network and you've got some clients. What are the top things you and them have learned during COVID?
Well, I primarily work for business buyers, so
Yes.
I can speak from that side. And later, if you ask me, I can maybe have some ideas to help sellers be more marketable. What we're noticing on the buy side is there's a horde of mostly uninformed and ill-advised searchers out there, and they're bidding against each other. And what's happening is in some of the sectors and in some of the industries, and particularly businesses that we call essential, the ones that have been open during the pandemic, if they're coming on the market and they have good representation, they're selling, and they're selling fast. But here's the bad news, at least for those on my side, the buy side. A lot of these businesses are selling for premium prices. So in other words, if you compare a cash flow today to a year and a half ago, the multiple that was working back then is higher today in a lot of industry sectors. We don't like that. And of course, there's a downside to this if you're a seller. If you don't bring your business to market now, you're going to miss that premium. Because once this pandemic ends, buyers who are well informed, they're not going to pay these premium prices. So there could be a bubble here, a moment in time, kind of like with residential real estate, where there are more buyers out there than sellers. For those of you listening, I'm working in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. What I just told you, I'm getting from the business brokers out there representing sellers, and I'm getting input from my own clients and searchers who are sending me information.
Okay. Good advice. And you opened the door on this one. So what can an owner do to impress buyers and generate that higher price that may go away in 6, 12, 18 months?
Well, business owners who have not been preparing their business for sale, and if they want to sell it, it's a little too late. So that means whatever they have, they need to showcase it. This is not a time to hope a business broker or a buyer will come through and put up with nonsense. So whatever you have, owners, you need to make it as good as you possibly can. You need to price it to sell it. That's the key. So even though I say a lot of businesses are selling at a premium, they're priced to sell. If you overprice it, buyers will move on. The second thing is offer seller financing. Upfront, make sure your advertising, your publicity, if you're using a business broker, push this idea of you will finance part of the buyer's purchase. In other words, showing that you have faith in your business. The buyers I represent, I'm telling them, no seller financing, walk away. I don't care what the price is. Why? Because we don't know how bad this pandemic is going to get. And we don't know how long this financial mess is going to exist. So sellers offer the financing. The other thing sellers need to be doing, and by the way, same with owners, have the right kind of advisors. There are so many owners that we're coming across who are using their accounting and their legal firm that they've used to run the business. Those people don't know enough about bringing companies to market and making deals. So find lawyers and accountants in particular who know how to work with an owner and a buyer to make a deal. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. So what are the biggest risks to buyers these days?
Well, competing with other buyers, I think, is the biggest risk because that's going to require them to compete. If they go to what I call the hidden market, that means there's no other buyer bidding on a business, and we source them by going direct to business owners in niches we want, we might be able to avoid the buyer competition. Then what we have to be real careful of is the cash flow. Now, the good news from the buy side is most owners will not increase their cash flow. They're living with what they have. They're not ordering that booklet, 120 financial lifelines for small businesses. So the first thing we look at as buyers, we pull that booklet out and we say on these 120 topics, what 5 or 10 can we implement within the first 90 days of buying the business? And if we can implement several of those tactics in the first 90 days, the business we just bought is going to be 25% more valuable. Too bad the seller didn't do it.
Okay.
Cash flow, baby. It's all about cash flow.
It is about cash flow. And I think you're right. If they want to sell and they haven't started preparing it, which we know 90% of owners never do because they think what they have is the greatest thing since cold beer, sliced bread, whatever. Let's finish up with, I've started telling my clients, buyers and sellers, be careful of the COVID non-financial factors, which have added on to, our list that we've always had of customers, employee, landlord, bankers, suppliers. Have you seen buyers having an interest in the COVID non-financial factors, which include safety and liability, and are you going to get shut down?
Absolutely. And to go back to those CELBS customers, we're looking at the history of the customers, how their business is doing, because how the customer business do is going to reflect on what we can sell them if we own a company. The employees, big risk right there. There are businesses out there that are wonderful in essential services. And in, for example, London, England, just recently reopened, sort of, but they were mostly shut down for a month. Shut down. I mean, employees couldn't go to work. And in Australia, in one of their states, they were shut down. Here in America, we have cities that are basically shut down. Look what's happening in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you're an employee who can't go to work? And we say, well, they can work at home. Well, not every job function enables employees to work from home. And hey, what about key employees? What I'm telling the searchers is you need to look carefully into these key employees, because what if they die? The landlords are making concessions in a lot of cases, but guess what? The landlords are going to ask for that money back. What we're seeing on cash flow statements is businesses are proud that their expenses are down because they've either borrowed free money from the government or gotten gifts, or the landlord's forgiving or reducing rent. Guess what? That's all going to hit the financial statement again in about a year. This is one reason I think these businesses are being overpriced and selling for those premium prices. People are not thinking that there's a temporary boost to cash flow. And the suppliers, boy, look at that supply chain. Look at that supply chain. We're seeing lots of good businesses that looking into the supply chain, it's very temperable. It's not secure. Well, if you can't get the products you need when you need them, how do you fulfill orders? So yeah. Absolutely, COVID is doing havoc on all those non-financial factors.
Yeah. And you mentioned, what if your key employee dies? What if your key employee is scared to come to work? Ted, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this podcast. Always a pleasure.
Hey, you. That's right, you. Have you been looking to buy an exciting and profitable business? Are you tired of searching, but only finding barriers that impede you from owning a wonderful business? Well, have we got some good news for you. You can find and buy the right business the right way. And you don't have to go it alone. For over 30 years, author and transaction advisor Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate, has been helping buyers worldwide achieve win-win done deals. Ted Leverette says, you can't buy it if you can't find it. You see, buying a business is all about search. Because if you can't find it, you can't buy it. It's about being best and first. First on the scene with sellers and being the seller's first choice and top of mind for brokers and sellers. And most importantly, avoiding buyer competition. What about having to compete with other buyers? Well, you have to outbid them, which is a good way to pay more than a business is worth. Searchers do better with a winning business buyer marketing plan, and that's where Ted Leverette comes in. He'll help you prepare a winning plan, and then he'll guide your actions so you can find and then buy the right business the right way. But searching is not enough. The reality is too many people buy the wrong business, or they buy the right business, but on the wrong terms. That's why, if you want to buy the right business the right way, it makes sense to have Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate, on your advisory team. And one of the best ways to know what the savviest searchers and buyers do is to read Ted Leverette's books, How to Prepare Yourself and Find the Right Business to Buy, and How to Buy the Right Business the Right Way. You can get them at his website, partneroncall.com. Don't chance it. Right now, go to partneroncall.com, get the books, and schedule a free and private telephone conversation with Ted Leverette.